Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Gnome here, and today we're checking out Atraxa Praetors Voice, and I bet you this is unlike any other Atraxa deck you have seen so far that people have made on Arena, just because I haven't seen this deck yet. The premise of the deck and what really made me want to make this deck was this card, Aetherworks Marble. Whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard, you get an energy counter, and you pay 6 energy counters. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost. I wanted to build around this card, and Atraxa is the perfect commander for this type of play. Atraxa doesn't give you energy counters itself, but when you build around the energy counter theme, Atraxa is just a really sweet synergy piece for a lot of the cards in the deck. We have a lot of 4-drops, but that's only because there's a lot of good 4-drop creatures that either help us get more energy counters or help us proliferate. Azuri, Stalker of Spheres, proliferates and draws us cards. Contagion Dispenser proliferates and gives us a card when we proliferate on our turn, so that's really crazy with Atraxa. Teleportation Circle for these ETB effects that we have, like Sage of Shila's Claim, which gives us 3 energy counters. If we end up playing Teleportation Circle, we can keep bouncing this to get us energy counters. And there's other cards in here too that have ETB effects that give us energy counters. Some really good synergy pieces are going to be the cards from, I want to say this is Aether Revolt, but I'm not entirely sure, maybe Kaladesh, where the energy counter theme was really in the forefront of the mechanics for that set. So Fabrication Module, Electrostatic Pummeler, Dynavolt Tower, Consulate Turret. These are just cards that are going to help us get energy counters or give us stuff to do when we have energy counters. But the deck is pretty much proliferate, ramp, energy counters, and removal. The gameplay is going to speak for itself, and I really hope you guys enjoy this deck. I spent a lot of time working on this one, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So let's get right into it, and let's see how the deck does, shall we? We're up against Xanathar Guild Kingpin, and I really like this hand because of the Era of Innovation along with Decoction Module and Astral Cornucopia. It's gonna give us a lot of energy counters early in the game. So we play the Razor Verge Thicket first. Bruh. Our opponent good games us early. You guys know how that makes me feel. We play the Era of Innovation. I good game back. Opponent needs to know his place. They play the Mana Geode. Nothing spectacular about that. We play our green-black pathway, and then we play the Astral Cornucopia into the Era of Innovation so we can get our energy counter. Our opponent plays Covetous Urge and takes the Search for Glory, which I had a feeling he would take that all along. We play the black-white pathway on the white side, and we play Contagion Dispenser. Contagion Dispenser says when it enters a battlefield, you proliferate. And whenever you proliferate during your turn, draft a card from Contagion Dispenser's spellbook. So we play it, we get energy counters, we proliferate the counter on Astral Cornucopia and an energy counter. And we get to draft a card from the spellbook, which we get Flux Channeler. They play Xanathar, and we top deck the Transmogrifying Wand, which is a really sweet top deck. I'm thinking about playing Flux Channeler because I want to play the Flux Channeler along with the Transmogrifying Wand, but I decided just to play the Transmogrifying Wand so I can kill the Xanathar because we don't like Xanathar around here. Flux Channeler is going to have to wait. They play the Search for Glory. They go search up Professor Onyx, 6-mana Planeswalker that says whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Her +1 says you lose 1 life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your library. I'm not going to go over the other 2 because their opponent never uses those. Spoiler alert. They swing with the Ox, we take the 2. I decide to sack the Era of Innovation so we can get some card advantage just like our opponent here. We draw the Confiscation Coup, which is a really good card in the deck. I play the Flux Channeler, hoping to get some more energy counters into our arsenal. We proliferate, Contagion Dispenser triggers. We get the Contagion Engine off the spellbook, and that's really fun. Rogue Refiner comes down, but our opponent has other plans and counters it. Sad to see. They play Professor Onyx, and they do the +1 with Davriel and Eaten Alive going to the graveyard. They pass the turn, nothing else to do. but they leave 2 mana open, and we have Inventor's Fair. Inventor's Fair is a colorless land and says at the beginning of our upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. We can pay 4 and tap it to sacrifice it, search our library for an artifact card, reveal it, and put it into our hand. We can only activate this ability if we control 3 or more artifacts. Put the Inventor's Fair down. I play the Atraxa, knowing that they might have a counterspell, to bait it out because I don't want my Contagion Engine to get countered. So we play the Contagion Engine. Flux Channeler triggers. We proliferate. And Contagion Dispenser triggers. So we draft a card from the spellbook, get a Canker Bloom. Their Ox gets a -1/-1 counter. They do the +1 off Professor Onyx. No big deal. And they cast a Seagate Restoration. So now they have a massive hand. And I feel like we're behind on card advantage here. So we gain a life off the Inventor's Sphere. It's our turn. We play the Caves of Kolios. We play the Eternal Wanderer. Flux Channeler will trigger. We proliferate. We get a card from Contagion Dispenser Spellbook, which would be Pollen Bright Druid. And then we +1 the Eternal Wanderer, trying to flicker the Ox. But opponent has other plans, and they're going to Dilly Dispute the Ox, which triggers the Professor Onyx. So at this point, I'm just going to play Dynavolt Tower. We proliferate again. And then we play the Pollen Bright Druid, and we proliferate again off the Pollen Bright Druid. We also get an energy counter thanks to Decoction Module. And I decide to swing at the Professor Onyx, just so they don't get that -8. They have a Spark Double, and this is where things get really, really scary for us. 2 Professor Onyxes. Massive card advantage off that +1 where they get to choose which card they get. So we are really in a bind here. And they also play Archmage Emeritus, which just means they get to draw more cards. And you guys know what happens when your opponent has more cards than you do. You usually lose. So I decide to blow it up with the Dynavolt Tower, and Archmage Emeritus is no more. I play the Canker Bloom, hoping to destroy the Mana Geode to prevent them from countering our next move, because they might have a counter spell with that 2 mana open. They don't float the mana, which surprises me, actually. And I'm going to create a 2/2 white Samurai. And we get an energy counter off the Decoction Module. I decide to sack the Inventor's Fair, and lo and behold, Aetherworks Marvel in all its glory. Finally, it's here. We play the Electrostatic Pummeler, play the Aetherworks Marvel, swing at the Professor Onyx, and I activate Aetherworks Marvel, and here we go. Ugin off of that trigger. Play the Ugin, destroy one of the Professor Onyxes, and it is their turn. I think the tides have turned in our favor, but we shall see. Our opponent still has a ton of cards. Brawl, Chief of Compliance comes down, and then a Thoughtseeds, getting rid of a Confiscation Coup, which we've been holding pretty much all game. Narset comes down, which is really bad for us, which means we can't draw any extra cards, and that's really bad. They play a Feed the Swarm, and then they play a Go for the Throat. So Professor Onyx is triggering, but our Aetherworks Marvel is triggering as well. So we get a little bit of energy counters, but we're losing a little bit of life. Play the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot on our turn, and I activate Contagion Engine's ability, which we proliferate, then proliferate again. At this point, I'm just trying to get the counters on Astral Cornucopia high so we can have a ton of mana to play with. And since we proliferate, we get a card from Contagion Dispenser Spellbook, and it is Tezzeret's Gambit. I was hoping to proliferate off the Gambit, but opponent decides to counter it, which triggers Professor Onyx, making us lose life, and we don't get to proliferate at all. I decide I want to destroy the Brawl, and then I'm going to bounce the Pollen Bright Druid, and then play it again, so we can proliferate, so I can get the extra counter onto Ugin. And what that's going to allow us to do is kill the other Professor Onyx, which is being very annoying to us. And now we get to activate Aetherworks Marvel again. Demon of Dark Schemes I would love to have here, but it would blow up our Pollen Bright Druid, so I just actually go get Consulate Turret, I make a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. We get an energy counter thanks to the decoction module. We get energy counters off the Aetherworks Marvel, triggering off of the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot going to the graveyard. And we can do 2 damage to Narset with the energy counters that we had.
Nice.
They play Xanathar. Then they play Delver of Secrets, and we draw Cleansing Nova, which I was unsure about if I wanted to play, but we +1 Ugin, making a Spirit, and then I'm going to Transmogrifying Wand the Xanathar. As long as we control Transmogrifying Wand, Xanathar is never getting on the field. I'm going to tell you that right now. We blink the Ox. They know what's coming. We can proliferate and then proliferate again, and get a card from the spell book. We get a Contagion Clasp. Put a -1/-1 counter on the Delver of Secrets. Aetherworks Marvel activates. We get a Grim Tutor off the top. Dynavolt Tower triggers. We get energy counters. We actually end up Grim Tutoring the Tekathaw here. I know it didn't seem like it the way I cut it, but that's what we did. Kill the Narset. Get Tekathaw. And our opponent good games us for the last time, and I guess they've had enough. Sublime Epiphany is not going to help you in this situation, buddy. And they duress, and that's it. Just a quick thing I did want to do. I'll say I'm sorry for not uploading in the last week and a half. The last 2 weeks, I've done 120 hours at work, and my work schedule's changed. So it's been kind of hard for me to make content. As you guys know, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. So I have to put in the hours at work to get a decent paycheck so that we can sustain ourselves. It might be too much information, but just wanted to be transparent with you guys. I know I haven't been updating on the channel. It's been kind of like a half and half of being burnt out and working extra hours. It's like, you know, when you do that many hours, you just want to come home and relax and just do nothing. So I really hope you guys enjoy this deck, and thanks for sticking with me, man.